Art history gives an interesting perspective about the Bigfoot species, and they make many appearances in art and literature during the Middle Ages in France, Germany, Italy, Scotland, and Denmark. The woodwose, wildman of the woods, or the greenman. I'm Jenna Bosiger, and you're watching my Cryptid Cryptids YouTube channel. And if you also have an interest in hominid cryptids, then please hit the like for this video and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it. The medieval times started with the fall of the Roman Empire in 476 AD and lasted until the start of the Renaissance by 1500. And this time period also includes the time of the Inquisition, which lasted from 1273 to 1870, and from 1400 to 1700 were the witch burnings. And those were happening around the world at around the same time. I also find it interesting how the Inquisition started in 1273, and simultaneously in North America was the demise of the Anasazi from 1250 to 1300 AD. Not just the Anasazi, but the Fremont and probably the Mound Builders too. So it was during these dark ages in Europe that contact was being made between humans and the wild men and women of the woods. And keeping in mind the mentality of the time and using art history, one can piece together the history of how first contact went with humans and the wild men of the woods in Europe. And if you look a little closer at this one, the name of this is Dance of the Woodwose, and it was painted in 1470. I decided to zoom in and look at the faces of the people to see if there were any that were not enjoying the show. I decided to circle the ones in yellow who were not enjoying the show and circle the ones in red who are enjoying the show. And when I zoomed in, I found this woman here, HBIC. She's in charge, and in her lap is the head of one of the woodwose, dead. And then you can see on the sides the church people not liking it at all, and the woodwose are dancing for their lives. And then looking a little bit closer at this one, the name of it is Virtuous Woman That Tames Wild Man, and you can see that she has a rope around the ankle of the wild man, and he is looking down at the chain. I think it would be safe to say he doesn't like it. While most of the abuse is happening to the woodwose by the humans, when looking a little closer at this one, you can see that this human female is being rescued, and she does look like she wants to be rescued. And what's interesting too is the face on him, the one holding her. He's more upset about losing her than he is about the fact that he and his friend are about to die by being thrown into the fire. And this one, you can see that this hairy man, he's about to get stabbed from behind. But, oh, that's his arm? So what I was seeing was a unicorn in the background. But maybe that's his arm. But then in another painting, I'm seeing another unicorn in the background. And the unicorn is all chained up. His mouth, he can't do anything. And he's looking on. Down at the bottom, the woodwose are dead at the bottom. And the unicorn looks like it's looking on helplessly. You can see some cryptids trying to fight here. And as much as they look like they are equipped with swords, they are going to lose this battle too because they're facing left. This one's trying to protect a little one, and he's not going to be able to do that. You can tell by this painting. Dark Ages were a time of battles and challenges and conquests, trophies and swords and shields and crests. And it was also a time of judgment and persecution. And if you weren't rich and protected, you didn't want to do anything to stand out or be noticed or do anything to be different than everyone else. So if you can imagine how humans would have reacted to a species of hairy wild men, think of how the Inquisition tortured people to death, mostly women, based on word of mouth or anything that made you stand out as being unusual. And this is how humans treated other humans they thought were different. So this species was bigger and taller, but likely not more aggressive or violent than humans. But they ate different, thought different, and lived different. And you have to ask yourself, at that time, what would the chances have been for peaceful coexistence with the Inquisition and burning witches? what chances for respect and for the right to live in peace, well, you can kind of get an idea of what those chances would be if you look at history of every single species that we know of on Earth, and how none of them come close to matching our violence, not even the dinosaurs, because dinosaurs weren't sitting around in war rooms plotting out how to kill everyone, man, woman, and child in the neighboring tribe, as far as I know. And this is something repeated in human history. So I don't know why we would assume that giants or another hominid species would come close to matching our level of violence when no other species that we know of in Earth's history ever has. So I'm not a mathematician, but I'm thinking those odds would be zero. I put quotes around any information that came with the pictures. I did gather a lot of images of what appears to be a Bigfoot creature living in the wild, taller, likely with no necks, and that's why they were portrayed sometimes as having their heads on their chests, probably because they maybe were just reported as not having any necks. That's a possibility, because these are very common creatures that you see with the heads on their chest. Another thing is that in art, when a figure is facing to the right, the figure is moving forward, ahead. And then when you see a figure facing to the left, they're looking back. They're coming from not as strong a position as someone coming from the right. And you can tell just based on who's on the left and who's on the right, who is the aggressor and who is going to win the fight. Surprised to find how many German coins of the wildman there are. He's often pictured with a tree stump that looks like it was pulled out by the roots, or his choice of weapons, but there is a picture of one of them with a spear, and you can see the dates are around the same time. I also find it interesting that the Inquisition ends by 1870, and by 1870, talk about the wild man, the wild woman, and the woodwose are gone. Like the Anasazi, they likely either went into hiding, or, like many other species, they faced extinction at the hand of humans. But I think plenty of them went into hiding, and even in Europe, in some of the remote places, there were a lot of them before the Inquisition and during the medieval times. I found it interesting when I read something about Esau from the Bible. From Chabad.org, 14 facts about Esau everyone should know. It says he was born fully formed and had hair across his body. At age 15, he was given another name, Edom, which means red in Hebrew. It says that he was covered in red hair and that he was given a third name, Seir, and that means hair in Hebrew. He was large, he was a hunter, outdoor person, and he had red hair all over his body. And then I just read this interesting thing that said, some say he was overcome with compassion, at least temporarily, and kissed Jacob wholeheartedly, while others say his real intent of the kiss was to bite him on the neck. So, a lot of what you read about these people from the olden days, they don't seem to be quite human. This picture of a woodwose is titled The Rise of Persecution, and this old drawing of the woodwose has a Latin phrase below that reads, non omnia possumus omnis, and it translates to, we can't all do everything. And if you think about that in terms of judging and killing another hominid species, or being afraid of them because they're taller, the meaning of this is that everyone or every species is different, be it in their appearance, character, knowledge level, and many other criteria. And this is why life is beautiful. If everything had been identical, how boring life would be. And thus we are all different species than the woodwose. It's obvious this meaning didn't take hold to the humans from the days of the Inquisition, and I doubt that it has for most people who encounter them today. Rather than be afraid of the capabilities the woodwose has that humans don't, this can be expressed very beautifully by the words of Mother Teresa. We can do things they cannot. They can do things we cannot. Together we can do great things. And I would say we just need to get over our superiority complex. So during the making of this video, I also collected a lot of art of dogmen and a lot of art of UFOs. I'm going to be making videos about those topics. And if you find that to be interesting, then please hit the like for this video and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, bye!